Passing through the gates where we are taken to a higher realm. So no one wants to hear of that toxic cell. The bell of our ancestors where it's felt. Passing through the gates where we are taken to a higher realm. So no one wants to hear all that toxic cell. Ring the bell of our ancestors where it's felt. Passing through the gates where we are taken to a higher realm. So no one wants to hear all that toxic cell. Ring the bell of our ancestors where it's felt. Passing through the gates where we are taken to a higher realm. So no one wants to hear all that toxic cell. Ring the bell of our ancestors where it's felt. here I am. I'm a little bit in the dark. Pardon me. I'm a little bit in the dark. Don't got my light on, but I just got the top light here. But this is good enough, right? You can see me. This first, so we're already discussing the 19 courses. What did we go? We went into the dynamics of existence, which also links up when you look at the 12 forms of love, and you can find bits and pieces of that within the biblical narrative. You know what I'm saying? And also in cosmology. You know what I'm saying? So you can make the comparison, and you can get more information about, the dynamic of existence and the other 19 courses. This one in particular is called the technology of study. Very important, because it's like how we study. The first roadblock to overcome so you can successfully learn something. You want to learn something new. You want to successfully study something. There are roadblocks. And with this course, this particular course, you're going to understand the 3 barriers to study that can prevent your standing to reason, understanding of a subject. You know what I'm saying? And the precise tools to overcome these barriers. So we're going to discuss that as much as I can. I don't want to stay here too long. And then how to learn and fully understand any subject that you choose. And if you heard me before, I have spoken about that you have to learn the definitions that people carry, to sort of like establish that communication with them. Because again, we discussed in the class today, a lot of people carry their own definitions, of a particular word or a particular set of words. You know what I'm saying? Subjects or objects, their own definitions. But in order to establish a right communication with them, right, and affinity with them, which is the likeness of them, you have to establish a reality. And the reality has to be based on a fact, you know what I'm saying, something. And we're going to discuss that further in. Let me bring up, so when you say define something, right, let me bring up the dictionary. And now I have my own not my own dictionary, but a dictionary that comes with let me share this. A dictionary that comes with a computer, a laptop where I'm at. So you want to define things, and that is very, very important when you define certain words and you establish that definition. So here we have the word define, right? Define. You want to define stuff. It's a verb with an object. It's a verb. It's a state or describe exactly the nature, scope, and the meaning of something. It gives a meaning of words and phrases, especially in a dictionary, right? You define it, definition. You make up or establish the character of something. You defined it. You mark out the boundaries, the limits of it. You make clear the outline of. You delineate. You know what I'm saying? So the origin of that is Middle English. Remember, we're speaking in English language. Middle English, also in the sense of bring to an end. You want to again create that boundary, that limit of it. That right? It's from Old French definer, and it's a variant of a Latin definire, from D being expressing completion. Finire, finish, from the finis, the end, to bring in a completion to the end of the word. So you want to establish that first if you're going to communicate with anybody. So it's important. You're going to have a discussion about God. You have to define that. Because people, again, they carry their own definitions of what God is. You know what I'm saying? So we have to define it in order to have a proper communication. What's up, primo? That is very, very, very important. And we have to constantly stress the importance of that. Let me go over here. So you have to constantly, and this is one of the technology of studies, you know what I'm saying? So you want to break down those barriers, you know what I'm saying? Okay? You want to definitely break down those barriers. Now, removing the first block to learning It's important to learn. Now, the first block, that means something that prevents you from progressing to progress, that can prevent you from becoming a successful student in any way. I'm still a student of life. You know what I'm saying? I'm a student still. You know, student teacher, they say. You know, a spiritual master, but a student teacher. So in order to become successful student or master teacher in any subject, you have to have the willingness to know. The willingness to know something, not to just go on belief. Because remember, we spoke about belief. You can believe in your car. It's going to take you to your destination, but not know that a wheel is loose, because you need to do investigation. So the willing to know, the willing to investigate, the willing to define things is very, very important. It can remove that first block to learning. You know what I'm saying? It makes it more exciting. You know what I'm saying? It makes it more exciting. You know, that is the first gate that has to be open to begin any study. Any study that you want to get into, you have to have the willingness to know about it and to investigate, right? Because it's that gate. If that gate remains closed, it will prevent you from standing to reason, understanding whatever you're trying to learn, whatever you're trying to learn. Okay? And we're going to unpack this a little more. Now, you must be willing to learn, right? To find out, investigate about things you do not know. You have to be willing to do that in life, right? In any subject that you want to embark in, you want to know. You want to be successful. You want to climb that ladder in your job. You have to know certain things. So you have to do an investigation, right? And we'll talk about investigation later on this. So if you study a subject when you think you already know it all about it, you will run into trouble. You know, if you come in with that mindset, I already know this, you're going to run into trouble. Because instead of studying it to learn something new and understanding it, you will get into such thing as trying to learn the facts word for word without understanding them. You're not understanding. You're not unpacking it. You're not defining it. You're not investigating it, right? Right? You can get into memorizing. You can get into memorizing them so you don't forget them and other odd things like that. Just memorizing things, but you don't know what you're talking about. You just memorized it. None of these systems or ways of doing things add up to any knowledge, and they don't make you more capable, because you're able to memorize something does not make you capable. Do you know it? Did you investigate it? Did you define it? Did you create that boundary, the barrier, right? Very, very important, even for communications. Very, very important. To be able to study a subject, you have to be willing to study it, to find out what there is to be learned. You have to be willing to do that if you want to study any particular subject, right? I do this as I study these 19 courses. If I come across words that I need to define, I defined it, and I try not to just memorize it. I try to, not try, but that's exactly what I do, is I investigate. I investigate and I see how, what they call experimentation, right? Observation, experimentation, and definitely reason things out. You know what I'm saying? So there's much more we can talk about on that. So if you start a study with the idea that you already know about that subject and think you know everything there is to know about it, studying it would be a waste of time, right? Why study it? You think you already know everything. Why? Why me communicate with somebody that already think that they know it all, or they know everything about that particular subject? It's a waste of time. Why waste your time pretending you are studying something that you decided you already know all about? If you do this, you can make the whole subject of study very difficult for you. Very difficult. It doesn't mean you should ignore the things you know, that you do know, that are valuable. It takes a bit of judgment, right? And when you look at the word judgment, the ability to make sensible decisions that are not influenced by personal feelings, right? You make this sensible decision, not personal feelings, but are based on facts, observation, and knowledge, right? So it takes a bit of that judgment to be able to look over a subject and know what you know and know what you don't know about it. can be done. It can be done. You can say to yourself, well, there are parts of this I don't know anything about, and I will have to look into it and study what there is to know about it. When you can do this, you have overcome the first obstacle to learning. You get that? There are parts of this I don't know about, and I will have to look into it, study, investigate it, what there is to know about it. I'm just going to have to do it, right? That's overcoming the first obstacle of learning, okay? That willingness to investigate, that willingness to know. What it boils down to is this: your ability to learn depends on a willingness to learn. That willingness to learn, to investigate, to know something, that willingness, right? And the biggest single block to learning is your decision. In your decision, the biggest single block to learning in your decision that you already know all about. It's one of the biggest blocks. You know what I'm saying? So let me see how much more can I learn from this subject? Like I music. I'm learning every day about music. There's so much more about the art of playing percussion. There's so much more about acoustical engineering and sound and frequency. So I have to constantly tell myself, what is it that I don't know about this particular subject or my instrument that I need to learn more about? What? So I started practicing my double stroke rolls, my 5-stroke rolls, and certain techniques. You know what I'm saying? You want to learn more. That's progress. That's progress, right? This is the door you have got to crack open. You have to take that frame of mind. You have to crack that door open. That willingness to investigate and to know. Don't think that I know it all. Oh, I know about God. God spoke to me. What do you don't know about God? And find out. Investigate. Because then that's progress. But if you think you know it all, no, that's a waste of time. Why even talk about it? Why even have a discussion about it? They say that those that have arguments about religion are not religious at all. You know what I'm saying? Why even bother? And once you have cracked that door open, you can learn anything from there on. Anything you can learn. Once you have that willingness to learn, to know, and to investigate, man, you can learn anything from there on. With the use, of course, study technology. I said this is entitled Study Technology. So we know the first block to learning, right? And that is, first of all, in order to prevent you from becoming, to prevent you from becoming one of the blocks from preventing you to becoming a successful student in any subject is the willingness to know. The willingness to know. And again, I want to say this again. There are parts of this I don't know about, and I have to take a look into it and study what there is to know about it. When you keep that in mind, in any conversation you have, communication, if you keep this in mind and you're going to learn, you're going to progress, okay? And that's the ability, then that's willingness to learn something, okay? Right. So that's the first block. Now, the barriers to study the barriers, we're going to define what barrier is. But once you have opened the first gate to learning and decided there's something to know about study, you are ready to learn the barriers to study. And there are just 3 of them. A barrier is something that can stop you and prevent you from making progress. Let me look at my thing over here. Oh, sorry, I'm just looking at my comment. Okay. Not many people on here, but it's okay. Okay, so the barrier is something that can stop you and prevent you from making progress in anything, right? That's a barrier, right? As you will learn, when you run into one of the barriers to study, it can actually make you feel physically, physically. That means in a way that involves the body, and mentally uncomfortable. And I've seen this happen. When I have had conversation with certain people, and I see that they run, I can see them running into a barrier, and I see the they're uncomfortable. They start twitching a lot and doing, and moving around a lot. You can see the uncomfortability in them. Now, feeling discomfort as a result of something is also known as a reaction. So they have a reaction. It's noticeable. Reaction means a physical or emotional feeling you get as a result of something, right? You react to it. You could get a reaction from a sudden loud crashing of a noise, right? Boom, a reaction. Such a car accident, right? Perhaps responding by feeling nervous or a bit upset or concerned, right? Those are reactions, right? When you have a reaction, you can show your feelings by the expression on your face. You know what I'm saying? You can see it and how you handle your body. Now, this is known as a manifestation. So manifestation means a visible sign or an indication that something exists or is happening. That's a manifestation. This is a physical sign, an actual visible sign, indication. Something exists here. Something is happening. For example, upon hearing an accident, boom, you can manifest by being upset or concerned, by looking or even acting nervous. Oh man, where's that coming? You're nervous. You get a reaction, immediately reaction. You can also get a reaction from good news, and you can feel terrific, right? So manifests give you a physical and emotional sign that shows something exists, is happening. And to feel terrific, you're extremely good, by good news. You can react by feeling terrific, good. You can manifest it by smiling, laughing. Here we go. You're laughing, right? Cheering, smiling, and looking happy. Each of these three barriers to study give you the exact physical and mental reactions and manifestation. So we're going to look at those three barriers, right? When you know the manifestation of each barrier and you see how they manifest, right, it becomes visible, it is very easy to tell which barrier you have run up against. And for each barrier, there are exact steps you will learn to handle when it comes to studying these barriers, and get that barrier out of your road to study so you can progress well in your learning. This is the science. All right, though? So once you know what the three barriers are, know the difference between them, and know what to do to get them out of your way, you can prevent all three barriers from ever stopping you again. And I'm a testament to that. In the past, I had different, especially in my university days, I had to even withdraw from classes where they give you a certain time period, withdraw from classes because I ran into barriers. And if only I knew now what I knew then, and you know what happened? That when I started to read another doctrine, like the unsettled law doctrine, it helped me because I was getting definitions and I was learning more about certain subjects that I was able to bring to the classroom and get a seal of approval. And progress within that class. So by knowing and using this technology, you will be able to successfully study and learn any subject. So a technology, you're going to have different steps, exact steps to take to help you in overcoming these barriers and to help you progress in the act of studying a particular subject. Very, very important. Very important. Okay? The first barrier to study, remember there's three barriers we're going to look at. So the first barrier to study is the absence of mass. What do we mean by that? In the study of any subject, you have both mass and significance. Okay? If you can take notes, take notes. You know what I'm saying? Because this is going to help you in studying different subjects, studying different things, progress in your studies, So mass means the actual physical objects that you are learning about, the actual physical, right? Rather than their meaning or ideas about them. These include such things as a computer, a car, a rock, wind, an instrument, birds, a tree, whatever you're going to learn about, animals, etc. Right? The actual mass to learning how to play percussion will be the actual conga drum, right? The congas, the actual drum with the skin and the wood, the actual drum. I'm just going to make those example because that's how I resonate, right? I'm a percussionist. So you're going to, that's the mass. You know what I'm saying? Significance of a subject refers to the meaning or ideas or rules about something rather than its existence as an actual physical object. You know what I'm saying? For example, if you're learning how to swim, okay, let's say you're learning how to play conga. The mass would include the conga itself, right? 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 The conga, you know, the skin, you got the skin, you got the physical conga, the wood, and you got the conga, right? Right? The significance would include how you, first of all, how you hold the conga, how you put your hands on it, and how do you strike that skin in order to get the sound. And then you have different sounds. You have the slap, open tones, closed tone, bass. You know what I'm saying? Those are significance in learning. But the mass is the conga, right? The actual conga. And the significance is how to get the sound out of that conga, right? So if you were studying how to play guitar, also an instrument, the instrument will be the mass, the guitar. The significance would include instructions on how to hold the guitar, how to make the various notes, and how to strum the guitar, etc. Right? A person needs mass as well as significance to, hold on one second, I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Yeah, I have a 2-year-old running around here wild. She knows I have to open the door, so I got to put something on there because she comes and she starts grabbing things in my room, like my congas and hats and keyboard. And sometimes I give her my drums so she could play. You know, I try not to hinder her like that. You know, so I will give her my bongos and she'll play and stuff like that. And she has a keyboard and she has a drum set. You know what I'm saying? But she wants to play the big boy stuff. And listen, salud, having a little bit of wine. And big out to everybody here that's on here. So yeah, where were we? Sorry about that. So again, the mass and significance, okay? So you understand what the mass is. Playing congas or playing guitar will be the actual instrument. You're playing piano will be the actual instrument. The significance will being how to put your fingers on the piano, learning the different tones, the different keys, the way to put what on it, right? So a person needs mass as well as significance to help him understand something, right? Without mass, he only has thoughts and significance. You know what I'm saying? So in learning a subject of something, you need mass. You need the mass. You need to do experimentation and you need the mass. For instance, if you're going to study about tone frequencies and vibrations, you know what I'm saying? What are they going to be the mass? Tuning forks. It's going to be the mass. Or certain devices that create certain tones and stuff. And you see the oscillation, the amplitude, the dBs, the decibels, and stuff like that. You can see that. So then the significance will be the striking of the tuning fork and seeing how that resonates and the different tuning forks and different keys, right? That's the mass and the significance of it. So the first barrier to study is this. Education is the absence of the mass in which the technology will be involved is very hard on the student. And education in the absence of a mass, okay? Education in the absence of the mass in which the technology will be involved, right? Is very hard on a student. Very hard to learn without having that mass available. And you know what? When your education is this absence of mass, it's gonna make you feel squashed. feeling as one has been pressed or flattened with force, bent, like you're not standing up straight with the top part of your body leaning forward and down. You know what I'm saying? These are the reactions. You're sort of spinning, your head be spinning, sort of dead, feeling lacking liveliness, enthusiasm, or interest, bored, tired, impatient because of having lost interest in something, aspirated, feeling very irritated. That's what aspirated means. Irritated and upset because things are not the way you want them to be. I can't. So when studying or teaching, you have to also bring in math. Very important. And I'm going to remember that also when I start doing some podcasts and I'm trying to teach something. Physically, and sometimes you can read and you can see it. Sometimes I bring up the nature now. Actually, you see it there, the writings, because that can also be used as a mask, right? But then I put down, is there sound and space? And I put down the experiment that you can do with a bottle and stuff like that to sort of like give you that mass, which is very important when you studying and learning about something. Very, very important. You know what I'm saying? So if you study something in which the mass is absent, the above reactions that I mentioned and manifestation will be the result. And that's, you're going to feel aspirated, bored, sort of dead, sort of spinning, bent and squashed. There's a couple other ones, all right? To help handle the absence of mass, photographs can help, and motion pictures would do pretty well, as they are like a promise or hope of the mass, right? A promise, an indication that something may develop or appears successfully, right? But the printed pages and the spoken word are not a substitute for a tractor. Like a substitute is something that is used instead of something else, or that does the thing that something else usually does, right? For a tractor, if you're studying about tractors, you can't look at a picture of a tractor and not get the hands on and learn about a tractor. If you want to learn how to manipulate and you want to learn how to drive a tractor, right? You're going to need the actual tractor. You need to put your hands on things. You have to understand this important fact. Being educated about something where you don't have the mass make you feel physically uncomfortable in the ways listed above. Right? I know a lot of people are probably eating right now, so I hope later on you get this. So, it's just a fact, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, when you're being educated about something where you don't have that mass, you know what I'm saying? You don't have that actual physical object. You feel, physically uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Your face that feels squashed, your headaches, dizzy, feeling time to time, your stomach feeling funny. Often your eyes are going to hurt. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So again, another good example is that if you were reading about tractors, the best thing to have so you get a balance of the mass and significance in an actual tractor that you can see, touch, and feel. Very, very important. Here's another example. Let's say you have a child who has having difficult learning about arithmetic at school. Arithmetic at school. All he had was the significance of the figures, right? He was being asked to add up in his head and write it down and add up in the blackboard and on a piece of paper. That's all he had. The absence of a mass could be the barrier that was giving him trouble. So it's important in math. So the remedy would be to give the child the mass to balance out the significance of what he's studying. For example, give him some apples and give each one of them a number, right? An object, give him each one a number. Now he has number on apples in front of him, and there is no longer just a significance. He has an actual mass that he can refer to. By doing this, you will remedy this absence of mass and undo the difficulty he was having. That's a lot of children have difficulty learning. It's because you have to go with what? The mass. You want to teach a child, right? To add and to subtract, you use apples and use items and you let them see. You know what I'm saying? If I give you 2 apples and I take 1 apple from you, how many apples you have in your hand, right? So this barrier, studying something without its mass ever being around, produces the most clearly recognizable physical reaction. You can see this in children. Very, very important. Very, very important. Right? That's the first barrier. Let's look at the second barrier, right? Which is too steep of a study gradient, right? So the word gradient means how steep something is. How steep, or such as how much a road slope upward or slopes downward, or how steep the side of the mountain is. That's gradient. Okay? So that's a definition of the word gradient. You know what I'm saying? You want to see the slope, right? In the subject of study, a gradient is a way of gradually learning new information. You want to take it by step, the skills, little by little, step by step. I'm going to teach you how to play conga. I'm going to show you first how to put your hands on those congas and how to resonate or open tone, boom, 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 right? Show you how to hit that drum. Take it step by step. Then show you how to muffle it, right? I'm going to show you step by step, level by level, with each step and level being easily learned by itself. And you're going to progress. That's how I learn, step by step. This would be a light gradient. Done on such a gradient, even complicated and difficult subjects, an action can be studied, understood, and carried out quite easily. You can learn anything by taking it step by step and using the slow gradient, right, effect, and learning how to go step by step, and the slope has to be just right. So the word gradient also applies to each of the steps that we're taking in the ways of learning. So the gradient in the technology of study, the gradient will be the step by step that's gonna teach you something, right? So let us take, for example, a young person learning to ride a bike. There is a usual gradient of steps that are followed when learning the art of balance, steering, and pedaling, and all the action that needs to be taken to be able to ride that bike. You know, we all experience that when we're young. The first step is usually to have the person learn how to ride a tricycle, right? With the two wheels in the back and one in the front, a tricycle, so they can learn the manipulation of how it works and the pedaling. So a vehicle with one large front wheel, two small in the back. It does not require any balancing, and it's very easy to ride, right? So when you go step by step. Once he had learned how to ride a tricycle, and he can do it well, the second step of the grading might be to have him learn to ride a balance bike. Okay, now you learn how to pedal, right? Now you learn how to manipulate the bars, right? To turn this way and turn that way. Now let's learn about balance. This is a vehicle with two large wheels, right? Right? So to concentrate on balance, it's a little harder to ride, but it's still quite simple. You're going to get it quickly. Then a final step in the gradient, he learns how to coordinate all three actions, right? And he can ride the bicycle without any assistance. Okay? Sometimes you got to hold the bike and you got the person there so they can learn how to balance. You know, that's how way I was taught. You know, my uncle run while I was holding the bike, right? And I'm trying to balance it, right? And he's running. All of a sudden, I'm riding, and I'm thinking he's holding on, and he had let go. And I'm here like, oh, I got it. You know what I'm saying? Step by step. Those are gradient in studying. Okay, studying and learning how to do something is best done by a gradient. But it doesn't always go that way, and that's when you can run into some trouble unless you know how to spot and handle this barrier. You gotta spot and handle the barrier. So the second barrier to study is too steep a study gradient. Too steep. You don't want it to be too steep. You want it to be just right. Going too steeply or skipping a step on the gradient is difficult for any of the other barriers. You got to take it step by step. The physical and mental reaction from this barrier are very easy to see when you're learning to actually do something and perform some action or activity. When you run into too steep of a gradient in studying something, it produces sort of confusion, a reelingness, which is a reelingness, which is feeling dizzy and unsteady. That's reel, R-E-E-L, real, I-N-G-N-E-S-S, reelingness, feeling dizzy and unsteady. And that's what can happen when you have too steep of a gradient. You know what I'm saying? Those steps are not, they're not taking their time with those steps. You know, they're not following that step in a very, simple and easy way. You know what I'm saying? Until you get it. You know. So let's say you were installing or learning how to use some new program on your computer. You read the first few steps and you understand them and you follow them and you're doing well. What you are doing continually to go well until you realize you aren't doing well anymore. It happened to me loading some programs, some recording program, Pro Tools and stuff like that. So let's say you have started feeling confused and now the experience is sort of you're feeling dizzy and unsteady. It happened to me before. I'm telling you, I wish I know now. I wish I knew then what I know now. Study these courses. Very, very, very important. So this reaction tells you at once that you hit a too steep of a gradient. Too steep. Steep. S-T-E-E-P. Steep of a gradient. You went past something you did not fully grasp. And it happened before. And went over the gradient. Instead of taking it step by step. Comprende? Step by step. Okay? So what happened is that you will think the trouble you are having started when you began the new step of the computer. Okay. So what happened is that you would think the trouble you are having started when you began the new step of a computer program. When you first started feeling confused and experiencing the reeliness, right? But that isn't where you jumped the gradient. You skipped the gradient on something earlier you didn't do. There was something that you were doing on the computer program earlier that you didn't understand. Something happened that you did not quite stand to reason. Investigate it. You did not know. So you went past it and you hit a too high a level. You went too fast into the higher gradient. The barrier of too steep of a gradient is most easily recognized and most often used when you are involved in doing some new action. In other words, when you are physically going through the motions of something that is new to you. Okay? And that's why, some of these classes, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to go step by step, especially going into the nature, or going into actual facts or pataruk or anything like that. It's study time. You got to study, right? So that's the gradient. Now, the third. Now, what's the remedy? The remedy for the second barrier to study, the too steep of a study grade. So let's look at the remedy real quickly. So if you're learning how to do something and you start to feel sort of confused or reeliness, you know at once that you have hit too steep of a gradient. You went past something you did not understand. It started on the next, and you started on the next thing that was too steep, and you went too fast. The remedy for the barrier of a too steep of a gradient is as follows: cut back on the gradient. This means stop trying to push ahead and go back where you were last doing well. Find out when you were not confused on the gradient. Then find that new action you undertook. Find that new action that you undertook that caused this to happen. Find out what action you were doing that you understood well. You will find that you didn't understand it well. There was something you did not grasp at the tail end of what you understood well, right? The tail end. And after that, you went over the gradient. So clear up what you did not understand. You got to clear it up. Once you have cleared up what you did not understand or stand to reason, you proceed on from there. So you got to cut back. In gradients, it is the actions you are interested in when you're dealing with gradients. The actions, right? And the actions, you have a specific series of steps you must do. Now, if you skip the gradient on doing those steps, you can run into trouble. I have students like that when it comes to teaching percussion. They run into trouble later on because they did not take step by step of using, the heel, toe, the necessary steps. So when it came for them to learn a pattern they couldn't learn it. They ran into trouble because they skipped these steps that they needed to go through. You know what I'm saying? But if you follow the step of how to handle a skip gradient, you will come out of it. You know what I'm saying? So you go back and you go, okay, this is the trouble that I had. You know, let me practice my heel, toe, toe, heel. Heel, toe, what they got? Heel, toe, heel, toe, heel. Let me practice that technique on both hands, my left and my right. You know what I'm saying? So in the first example of the young person who's learning how to ride the bicycle on a gradient, let's say he went too steep on the gradient, started trying to ride the bicycle before he had mastered the earlier step. He ran into trouble. It's all over the place. Some people come out lucky, but hey, it's trouble. Let's say he manifested this by not being able to grasp how to maintain balance and pedal and steer the bicycle all at the same time. So he became sort of confused. People, kids give up. I don't want to ride no more bike. I don't want to play no more piano. I don't want to play no more guitar. Because, again, too fast or too steep of a gradient. So they kept falling off the bike or they kept making these mistakes. You would simply have to cut back on the gradient and go back to the early step where he was doing well. This must have been the balance bike or with two supporting rear wheels, or this might be the learning how to finger the guitar the proper way, or learning how to finger in the piano the proper way when going up the scales, right? Your thumb, your index, and then back to the thumb, blah, 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 into the fifth. Yeah, there's certain steps that you take so you don't run into trouble. So you're trying to learn a classical piece on the piano, you can't do it because your fingering, you pass, it's too steep of a gradient. You pass the necessary steps that you need to take when it comes to learning fingering and learning how to play keyboard. So you will help by finding out where he was doing well on the earlier steps, okay, of the gradient, and then discovering what it was that he did not fully understand about the earlier steps. Once that was cleared up and he was happy about doing that step, you will have him progress back up to the next gradient again, and he will do well. Okay? So the same principle of the skip gradient and the steps for handling it are tools you can use on anything you are studying and learning how to do. Anything that you're going to study or learning how to do, you have to step by step, level by level. Very, very important. And this is, it should be common knowledge, but common knowledge not so common. You know what I'm saying? What's the third barrier? And this is very important, man. I run into this a lot. I run into this a lot when I'm dealing with communication with people and stuff like that. The third and the most important barrier to study, this is one of the most important ones, is the misunderstood word, right? Not defining the word, or having your own definition and misunderstanding what the word really means. A definition, right? Staying true to its definition. A misunderstood word is a word which is not understood or is wrongly understood. So there's a lot of people that can't learn new things. You know what I'm saying? I had discussions with people, you know what I'm saying, because in the Christian paradigm, Christianity, that they misunderstood certain things, so they can't learn further than that. And these are pastors, reverend that comes to me, right? Okay? They want to have that discussion with me so that they can learn more about that particular paradigm, that particular school of thought. You want to take them to the next level on that, right? They get stuck. There's a barrier. They can't study with me because there's some things, words that are misunderstood, wrongly understood. In entirely different sets of reaction result from the misunderstood word. You know that. When you go past a word that you do not understand of the meaning of, you can get that blank feeling, right? You lose interest, fall asleep. That is very noticeable and easy to recognize. It is the feeling of showing of a complete lack of awareness, memory, and understanding, standing to reason, as if your mind is empty. A misunderstood word can also give you a washed out feeling, a feeling of being very tired and not having any strength or energy. It can give you a not there feeling, right? not being fully aware, connected to the situation you're in. It will be followed by sort of a nervous hysteria. I see it happen a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? They draw a blank. And some people are so slick that they try to, because the logical fallacies could come in. So they try to use, not ad hominems, they try to use straw man arguments and something that's not related to the topic, then they will go into that. That's a defense mechanism. But that's faulty. That's in reasoning, right? So you have this sort of nervous hysteria, the state of extreme, exaggerated emotion, excitement that can also include a feeling of worry and fear, and especially about something that you feel is going to happen, right? So I see a lot of, I ran into that, I've been feeling a little bit like that hysteria. Just could not grasp it. So the misunderstood word is what can make a person feel stupid or dumb, in any subject. They feel stupid. They feel dumb. The third barrier is to study. This third barrier to study, the misunderstood word, is the most important of the three barriers. The most important. It influences your ability to do things. It influences your ability to do. So this is a very, very important. When you don't define words, understand it fully, define those phrases, where's it coming from? You don't investigate, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so let's say you were studying the subject of art and learning how to paint. You will be able to do the action of painting and get actively involved if you did not have any misunderstood words on the subject. You might not have the talent to be a great painter, but you will have the ability to do the actions of painting. But that might not be the case if you had words on the subject, okay, that you did not fully understand or stand to reason. So the misunderstood words, phrases, concepts, again, reduces your ability to actually do something. The phenomena of the misunderstood word, it's a phenomenon. And the word phenomenon is plural for phenomenon. A phenomenon is something that happened or exists that can be seen. A phenomenon, something happens, exists, you can see it. To show how this works, let us take an example. If you as a student going past words in your study that you do not understand. There are two distinct phenomena that result from the misunderstood word, right? The first phenomenon, when you misunderstand a word, the section right after that word is a blank in your memory. You get that? When you misunderstand a word, the section right after that word becomes a blank in your memory. It's a phenomenon. It's a manifestation. It exists. You can also trace back the words just before the blank. Go back to where you first felt blank and look just before that to find the word you did not fully understand. You can then get the meaning of the misunderstood word by looking it up in the dictionary. Very important to have a dictionary by you when you're reading and studying. Dictionary, unabridged dictionary, they say. You know what I'm saying? And understanding what it means. That's investigation. That's knowing. That's defining, right? By doing this, you will miraculously find the section of text you were studying is now not blank. It's pure magic. Now the clarification comes up. You say, whoa, now I understand. Wow, now I overstand. Now I stand to reason. Because you went back and you look at that word and say, well, it was like that for a while when I tried to study and I look up the word affinity. I didn't quite understand what was affinity. But then when I started defining it and looking into it and see how it's used, defining it for what is affinity means a likeness. Likeness. Affinity, which is one of the requisite, which one of communication. You got communication, affinity. You have to have affinity to create that reality in order to have an open communication. You know what I'm saying? I didn't understand that at first. I was drawing blank on that, but then when I dived into the definition, I've learned it. Something I didn't know, and I went into it, and then it just cleared things up. So you can also trace back the words you just before the blank, right? To create that, it becomes a pure magic. For instance, it was found that when the crepuscle arrived, right? Look at this word, crepuscle. crepuscle arrived, the children were quieter, and when it was not present, they were much livelier. Oh, never heard of that word before. Crepuscular. Crepuscular. Let me look that word up. Let me find the proper way to even pronounce it. Okay. Let's see. Give me 1 second here. Very interesting. You know what I'm saying? Very interesting. So let's look it up. I got my dictionary here, and I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up to you so you can see the actual word. Man, they slipped this one right through with me, right? Now I'm going to get a clarification on this word. Wow. Okay, let me bring this up. Let me share this. Right? Let me share this. Let's look at this word. Right? And let me do this. Look at this word. Right? Crepuscle. Right? Crepuscle. Crepuscle. Right? Means twilight. It's a noun. It's rare. It means twilight. Twilight. Now I understand when it says, I stand to reason now when it said that it was found that when the crepuscle arrived, when twilight arrived, the children were more quieter, and when it was not present, they were much livelier, right? So when the twilight appeared, they were much quieter, right? But when it was not present, they were much livelier. What happened is you think you do not understand the whole idea, but the inability to understand comes entirely from the one word you could not define, right? It means twilight, the period just before it becomes completely dark in the evening, okay? Once you understand the word crepuscle, the whole sentence can be understood. Understood, right? Got that? So the second phenomenon, a misunderstood definition or a not understood definition or word you have not been able to find the meaning of, can even cause you to give up or studying a subject or make you suddenly drop it or even leave the area. It's happened to me. I couldn't find a definition of a word or phrase. It's something I couldn't find that couldn't clear the picture. I just let it go. This is called a blow. A blow is when you suddenly drop doing something or suddenly leave somewhere. It's a blow. It's a sudden departure from studying the subject or a course. And suddenly leaving a class are the result of a misunderstood word. I got to finish my modules in the class because I ran into a barrier. And that is I couldn't find what, when they were talking about the correlation and what nations, I couldn't find it. And so you can't find something, you can't define it, you can't find what you're looking for, it creates this reaction. It's sort of like put it to the side. We have all known people who enthusiastically started on a study only to find out sometimes later that person dropped the study because it was boring or it wasn't what they thought it would be. For example, they were going to learn a skill or go to night school or get a degree, but they never completed doing what they set out to do. And I am testament to that. Guilty. Happened to me. So I had to redo a lot of things. And then right now I'm redoing and studying a lot of things in order to get my credentials that I need. No matter how reasonable this excuses, the fact is they dropped the subject or left the course. This was a blow. I experienced a blow. Many of us experience blows like this. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we already knew then what we know now. You know what I'm saying? That's why this lesson is so very important, especially for our children. You know what I'm saying? For us Boricuas, for our children, okay? To go back and understand, entender la diferencia is the phenomenon. A person blow for one primary reason, the misunderstood word. And that's simply because they misunderstood a word or phrase. They misunderstood it. They didn't define it. Okay? That's so important. When you study, the technology of study is to have, first of all, you got to have your tools. Got to have that unabridged dictionary. Got to have that dictionary. And you have to say to yourself, man, there's things here that I'm going to learn that I don't know, and I want to learn it. I want to do an investigation, and you're going to do it. And this is going to add progress to your life, to your studies, and to your children, your family studies. Very, very important. So the rule is this. The reason you suddenly give up on doing something is because you have misunderstood, misunderstanding, missed standing to reason. You missed it on that particular subject. By finding and clearing up the words and getting full overstanding, standing to reason of this meaning, you can acquire, right? Which means to gain something for oneself through one's action effort, an ability to do something again. It's happening in my very life. And that's why it's important with these 19 courses, you know what I'm saying? Is that now I'm able to look back, I'm able to see, I'm able to repair, okay, my technology of study. I'm able to repair it now. Now I'm able to go in and I'm able to create that affinity. I'm able to create that affinity, right? Those realities, so that communication, and I can get more progress going on in my life. And I want it for my children, you know what I'm saying? And that's why this is so very important. So very important. So listen, share this, you know what I'm saying? I hope you can share this, share it with your family, share it, sit down, study it, because this is very important. And I'm not bringing it up online here, which I should, so as I read it. But if those who want to reach out to me, I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna put my email up here. It's my email. Get at me. I'll give you the 19 courses. I introduce you to it and everything. And like I said, don't let judgment like that. Oh, that's Scientology. La, la, la. Listen, I'm not going out there joining no Scientology church. I mean, you do what you want to do, but no, that's not me. I'm not going out there and joining a Catholic church. No, that's not me. I'm not going out there joining these churches and stuff like that. But the information that's available, a lot, the Nation of Islam uses a lot of the lessons from Scientology because they figured out that there are sciences out here that are in other different sectors that can benefit their nation. That's all it is. I believe this 19 courses, us as Boricuas on the island, us Boricuas everywhere, humanity could benefit from these courses. And we better do it now. We better get into it now, and we better repair our life so we can repair humanity before it's all shut down. That's all I got to say. Okay. So, so the reason you suddenly give up, like I said, up doing something is because you have misunderstood. You have misunderstood standing on the particular subject. So by finding and clearing up the words, getting a full, understanding, overstanding, and standing in reason of their meanings, you can acquire ability to do something again. Although this barrier, the misunderstood word, is given last, it is by far the most important and has a far-reaching effects. This is it, the crux of it. We look at the other barriers, right? Right? You've seen the other barriers, right? And we've gone through those other barriers, okay? We've gone into the absence of mass, right? We've gone into the too steep of a study gradient, right? Not taking it step by step, we're going to the math, but this misunderstood word of the third, remember there were 3 barriers we're going to talk about? This one is far the most important. So the remedies to this third barrier to study, the misunderstood word, a misunderstood word will remain misunderstood until you clear the meaning of the word or the phases. You clear a word by looking it up, its meaning in a dictionary, or getting a full understanding of that particular word. You know what I'm saying? Define it, investigate, look into it, see what the word means. Where it come from? See what it means. Get that clear, create that barrier, that boundary, and complete that action. Once you have looked up all the definitions of the words and you fully understand the word and you know how to use it, that word can be called cleared. It's clear. Boom. That means you're no longer that dead person, that mental dead. You're like, pop, you gave it a shot of a dictionary, understood, and now you are clear. You know what I'm saying? You're clear now, right? You're clear. Give yourself a hand. That's because of its meaning and the use are clear to you, and there's nothing about the word that you do not understand. So now you can impact it. You know what I'm saying? And there are exact steps to follow to clear any word you come across in the studies that you do not understand. Like when I was studying sound, tones, and frequencies. I had to define what sound is. And then I had to look at those different definitions. And then I had to go to the acoustical engineering and the definitions that it has, the traditional definition. You have to get a clear picture. You know what I'm saying? And then it became clear. You know what I'm saying? These are exact steps to follow to clear any word you can come across in a study if you don't understand. So steps to clear word. Have a good dictionary close by and available while reading so you can look up the meaning of any word you do not fully understand. Very important. Unabridged dictionary. If you're studying law, Black Law Dictionary. You can also use that, Black Law Dictionary, just to give you a political insight on that. But the unabridged dictionary, the Webster Dictionary, or the unabridged dictionary are very good dictionary. The one I use is the one that I have here on my laptop. It's very good. So a good dictionary does not include difficult words in the definitions. That's a good dictionary. No difficult words in the definitions. You can understand it. A good dictionary makes it possible for you to clear a word. That's the purpose of a dictionary. It's so that you can clear a word without having to look up a lot of other words. It's ridiculous. Look up one word, and then you got to look up another word, and on and on and on. No, a good dictionary makes it possible for you to clear the word immediately. Okay? When you come across a word or a symbol that you do not understand, find it in your dictionary. If more than one meaning is listed, quickly look over each of the definitions to find out which one best fits or explain the word in the context it was used. Now, context means the words and short section of words that come before or after a particular word that help to explain its full meaning. Usually when you see that word, you can also obtain the meaning by the words around it, before and after. You know what I'm saying? If you're skilled in that. But then when you get to use a dictionary, then the content that is being used, you can figure out which meaning of that word fits your content. For instance, the content of the word bat is different in these two sentences, as you would see, right? He picked up a bat and hit the ball, right? He saw the bat fly up into the tree. Two different content. Bat is spelled the same, B-A-T, right? One is the bat that you hit the ball, right? And the other one is the bat that flies into the tree. Now read the definition that applies to the correct content and make sure you fully understand it. For example, bat, a stick, a club used to strike a ball in sports, right? That will fit the first one. The ball to be a bat that's used to hit the ball, right? Or bat, number two, a small animal like a mouse that has wings and flies around at night. Well, the content is the bat flying into the trees, the content. So that bat will be, equivalent to that. You know what I'm saying? So dictionaries usually give good example of how word is used in a sentence. They usually have sentences. But to clear the word, you must make up sentences of your own. Try to make up the sentence of your own using the word until you fully understand it. You're comfortable using it. You have a clear understanding of the meaning of that word. Clear it. Clear it, clear it, clear it. Clear the word. When you fully understand the word, you do not have to think about it. You just know it. You know it now. You investigated it. Now you know that word. I can use the word affinity in many different sentences, even in conversation. Affinity. You know what I'm saying? Because now I know the meaning of the word and I'm able to use it. You know what I'm saying? I increase my vocabulary, right? And my communication skill. You might need to make up 10 or more sentences to get a full understanding of that word, right? The next step to clear each of the other listed definitions of that word, read the definition and clear up anything in the listed meaning you do not understand. Okay? Use the word with that meaning in several sentences until you understand it fully. Then take the next definition, read it, and use it in a sentence. Continue like this until you have cleared each of the listed definitions in the sentence. Have a full understanding of each one. You know? So when a word has several different meanings, you can just clear one definition and say you fully understand the word. Okay? You must be able to understand the word when you see it again. When you see it again, definitely you're gonna understand the word, and it's gonna be clear in your mind. You know what I'm saying? And you're able to see how it's used in different meanings. So you clear each of the listed definitions. The next thing is to clear the derivation. This means where the word came from, where it derived from. Knowing where the word came from, like we read about that word, you know, if it's a Latin, where it came from, Old English, it came from Latin. You know, you learn where it's come from. Knowing where the word come from will help you gain a basic understanding of what the word is. You know what I'm saying? When we looked up the word define, right? Definire, right? Latin, we know that it means complete. The end of a complete thing, right? It's definite. It's defined. It's definite. Complete. The dictionary you're using might also include idioms of the definition. An idiom is a group of words that, when used together, has a meaning different from what the word would suggest with their usual meaning. You know, that's an idiom. For example, to catch someone's eye is an idiom, meaning to get someone's attention. Catch someone's eye. That means you got their attention. That's an idiom, right? If there are any idioms listed in the dictionary for the word you are looking up, read them. Use them in a sentence until you have an understanding of them. Okay? Clear any other information about the word that might be listed in the dictionary, such as notes and how it's used, its usage of any synonyms. Now synonyms are words that have similar meanings. Synonyms, similar meanings, but are not the same. For example, thin and slim. Thin and slim are synonyms because they have similar meanings, right? Even though they sound different, they spell different, but they have similar meaning. So you get to understand that. If you see a misunderstood word and a symbol in any of the definitions, idioms, or synonyms of a word you are looking up, you must clear it right away using the same procedure listed below. Then return to the definition that you originally clearing. So get to know that word, how it's used. You know, like for instance, the word God can be used as an acronym. It can, and then you could use it as an acronym in Greek mythology, Gomara, Oz and the Bar, G-O-D, or you can use it in the public sector, in the court judicial system as governance, ordinance department, G-O-D. So you have two acronyms, right? That have different meanings. Different meanings. You got to understand that. And that's not that it's a synonym, you know, because it doesn't mean the same thing. But that's an example of how getting into the definitions of words and seeing how it's being used out there. You know what I'm saying? Very, very important. So when you see a misunderstood word, symbol, right? Always clear it right away. The meaning of symbols and abbreviation used in a dictionary are usually included in front of the book, and you can look them up there. However, if you find yourself spending a lot of time clearing words and looking up the meaning of symbols and abbreviation, you should get a simpler dictionary. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So here's an example of using the above step to clear a word. Let's say you're reading a sentence. He used to clean chimneys for a living, and you're not sure what chimney is, what it means, chimneys, right? You find that chimney in the dictionary and you look through the definition, find one that best fits the context, right? He used to clean chimneys for a living, right? So the definition says a flue for the smoke or gases from fire, a flue, right? So now You're not sure. Now flu means, sorry. Now you just have another word here that you got to look up. What is a flu? Flue for the smoke or gas for fire. Now you're sure what the flue means, so you look that up. And the dictionary says a flue is a pipe through which smoke and heat from a fire can pass out of a building. That fits and that makes sense. So you use it in some sense until you have clear understanding of it. So flue in this dictionary has another definition as well. Flue. And we'll clear and use each sentence. Let's look up the variation of the word flue. When you have fully cleared the word flue, go back to chimney, the definition, a flue from the smoke and gases from fire. Now, makes sense. So you use the word chimney in the sense until you have clear understanding of it. You then clear the other definition. You say the definition has an obsolete, old, or no longer used word, which is meaning obsolete definition, and another definition that is listed, being in geological, having to do with the study of rocks and minerals. You will skip both of these as they aren't in common use. Now clear the variation of the word chimney. You find that the variation that is originally came from the Greek word kaminos, which means furnace. Chimney from the Greek word kaminos, which means furnace. In the word that had a synonyms, usage, notes, or idiom, they will all be cleared too. That will be the end of the clearing chimney. Now you see chimney from flue. Now you checked out flue. You see the definitions of flue, right? But then you understand that if you take it further and you understand where it derived from, the derivation of it, where it derived from, you see that it's from Greek, kaminos, and which means a furnace, like a furnace, right? So now you know what chimney, furnace, right? That's it. That's it. So simple words. When looking up and clearing words in the dictionary, remember that it is not just the big words or technical words that are the most understood. An actual test on the group of students found that the most frequent words that prevented understanding were simple English words such as a, the, exist, and such. Can you believe that? To get the full meaning of these simple English words and to get a real understanding of them, it takes a big dictionary. Small dictionary seems to suppose everybody knows the meaning of these small common words, but many people don't. It is almost incredible to see that someone who has completed years of study on very difficult subject at a university and has graduated still does not know the meaning of the words like or, by, and. Some people don't know how to use the word and in front of, when you have a noun that starts with a vowel, you will use and, like for instance, an obstacle. You don't say a obstacle. You say an obstacle. So there's people that don't know this. Can you believe it? They don't know it. But it happens. It's natural. It happens. English language. But when the student looks it up and finds the meanings of the word he did not understand, years of study can be changed from a lot of questions and confusions to a certainty and understanding of what he had learned. So what is a clear word? When something is cleared, the celebrate, a clear word is one which has been cleared to the point of full understanding, overstanding, standing to reason by looking it up in the dictionary. Each of the common meanings of that word, plus any technical or specialized meaning, technical meaning relating to a specific subject, activity, type of work, not generally used, known, or understood. That's technical. It's not generally used. It's not generally known or understood. It's technical or specialized, designed, existing for the use of one particular activity and subject. So plus any technical and specialized meaning of that word that are connected to the subject you are studying. So to clear a word, right, it's the point of fully understanding by looking up in the dictionary each of the common meanings of that word. Also the word derived from, right? Plus which is any technical or specialized meaning of that word, right? You want to get that in there. Definitely. I don't want to stay here too long, man. I don't know, I'm boring people. Anyway, this is going to be, Bondo, peace, peace, puppy, peace, peace. So this is very important. You got to go back. And the Bondo, you probably know a lot of this stuff, Bondo. Floyd, you probably know a lot of this stuff, but this is just a study of those 19 courses, like I said, that if I only knew this back then, I would have been more successful in a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Now that I'm beginning to learn these courses and learning these technology of study, right? And learning this, it's helping me. It's helping me in my progress in studying things and things I already know. But then I said to myself, what I know, what else can I get to know about this particular subject? What else? Because you got to have that already embedded in your character. It's like, even though I know, okay, like I play percussion, right? There's a lot of things I know about playing congas. I can play 5 congas at a time. People say, oh, he's a beast and that way. But there's so much more that I can learn. So much more that I can learn about the art of playing percussion. So much more. I've met Africans, that have a certain different style and techniques and rhythms that I learn from, to this day. Like, shout out to Tobos Lumbamba, from the Congo, And then they also learn from what I know. And you have this sense, and that's what I love. It's to being around people that says, okay, even though I know this, let's see what I don't know about this. Let's see what I don't know about it. So when the subject came about sound frequency and tones, right, and vibrations, I know a lot about sound frequencies and vibration because I studied it. But then I said to myself, I got to go back and study more because there's things that I don't know. So then I found out that there are different definitions to sound. So I have to find out what definitions that person is using, the context of the word sound in his conversation. And then I can make a precise judgment. Says, okay, the brother's right. Okay, that sound in space is not the way sound is by us hearing it. No, but there is in another definitions of sound, right, being waves, right, that there are other definitions in acoustical engineering or industry that sound is. So there is sound according to those definitions in space. Even though there's little particles and matter and molecules in there that are not a lot, that is not immense like it is in the planet, but still it exists and there's still sound. Radio waves are still existing, and the gravitational waves, wherever there's wave, they can be converted into sound wherever there's waves. So if you're studying gravitational waves, the expanding and the contracting of this warping that's happening in space, that creating a wave can be it can be converted into a sound because those are waves. You know what I'm saying? So it's so much. So I had to learn that. I had to revisit that and say to myself, wow. I had to learn it. So I'm not going to stay here too long. I thank everybody for coming on. You know what I'm saying? So that's very, very, very important. So that's the barriers, the technology of study. Again, I'm not telling anybody, go run out there and join a Scientology or church or whatever. No. And like I said, Consology, I'm going to bring in some stuff in Consology. And also, there's a lot of sciences out there that are out there. And what I try to do is I try to compare it and I try to see how does it fit into the Darwin cosmology, right? And the ancient Kemetic and the Nile Valley nature science. So I try to make that comparison. Oh, this expands my view on Nile Valley sciences and nature science in the Nile Valley. Okay? And the Dogon's cosmology that they have. You know what I'm saying? Astrophysics. So it's that. So this is the technology of study. Again, you want to clear those roadblocks to overcome. So you can learn anything. If you successfully use this technology, okay, and these steps, right? And we spoke about the 3 barriers to study that could prevent you from understanding any subject. Those 3 barriers. Remember the mass, the missing of mass, right? The too steep of a gradient, that then you're not taking the steps little by little. You're skipping steps. And then also the most important is a misunderstood word and phrases. You know what I'm saying? The misunderstood word and phrases, which is the most important of those 3 barriers. The most important one is the misunderstood word and phrases, because I see that happen all the time. And the only way to clear that up, again, dictionary, right? First of all, the likeness. You want to be a willingness to learn, to investigate, create that affinity, and then create that reality through definitions. Now we can communicate. Now we can communicate sufficiently. Now we can communicate accurately. We can communicate. You know what I'm saying? And now we can, again, this knowledge, okay, when the youth are armed with this type of knowledge, they can't be conquered or enslaved any longer. You know what I'm saying? Because now you arm yourself with certain technology and knowledge and technology. You arm yourself with this knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So now you can progress in your studies and learn more and more and more and more. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to leave it there. I appreciate those that came through. Bondor, you're a trooper. You there? And my cousin, Junior, Virgilio Jr., and Earl Datkins, bro, Rahubat. You know what I'm saying? I thank everybody. And for those who are going to be viewing this later on, yes, you know what I'm saying? This is important. I try to make it not too long. And I try to also make it to a point where you can show, you can have this discussion with your children if they're willing, because sometimes children, they don't want to discuss this because they develop these blocks already in schools and stuff like that. But if you want to clear these blocks, you teach your children about the dictionary. Unabridged dictionary. Teach them children how to use these tools, and teach them that in order to communicate, to look at the other definitions and say, well, what, you can understand where another person's coming from by the definitions they're carrying and where they're getting that from, right? And where does that derive from? And you want to be able to arm your children with that truth, putting those pieces together, encajar el rompecabezas, encajar the puzzle, rompecabezas, the puzzle. You want to, link it, right? And that's important, to develop that truth and arm them so that they don't become, they don't become enslaved. They don't become conquered. You know what I'm saying? The people bring in some different narrative, and then all of a sudden spookism come in, and our children are very smart these days. They're up on it. But again, it's arming them. And us Boricuas, we know, we have to arm ourselves. We got to, you know what I'm saying? We have to be more knowledgeable, like Abiso Campos said, you know what I'm saying? And he was one that he was into education and knowledgeable, a valedictorian in Harvard University and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Very, very smart man. And he knew about how education is very important and how it can free us and liberate us. You know what I'm saying? It can free you and liberate you when you have a knowledge of a thing. You know what I'm saying? Of a particular subject. You go at it, right? That's so important. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Peace and blessings to y'all. There goes my Cash App, my PayPal, and those who want to contribute, man, by all means. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be much. It would definitely help me out and do and get certain things that I need to do this class. So Wednesday, we're going to dedicate it to the 19 courses and plus 19 plus courses, because I have class in the morning. I have class in the morning, right? And then in the class, we discuss a lot of things. And then I come on and I'll try to do this class a little early next time. But I just, my granddaughter and stuff like that. But then remember Mondays, it's going to be history, because I have a summit meeting with the Imperial Majesty, the Queen of the South, Imperial Majesty Kwasambure, who sits on that throne, the queendom. And so and she's giving us an historical thing. That's where I learned about the Ma Confederation, which is a fish confederation. I learned about the Homo habilis. There's so many things that I'm learning sitting down with this lady. It's unbelievable. The wisdom that the woman has and the knowledge that she has at her fingertip, because she comes from that lineage that goes all the way back to House. It's a great important lineage, African lineage, that is not broken. You know what I'm saying? So Monday we're going to use with history. Tuesday we're going to keep it science. So I'm going to look at certain science texts. I'm going to go into science. So it's Tuesday science, Monday history, Tuesday science. Wednesday is 13 courses plus one. 13 courses plus more, of different courses that are out there are presented. Okay. Today was to study the technology of study. And we study that. And we done, I don't know if I've done it on Wednesdays, but I'm going to try to maybe put it up on a podcast later on, like the dynamic of existence. Right? We did that. Investigation, that's another one. So, we'll go over those courses. That's my email. If they want to reach out to me and get those courses, they can see on themselves. Like I said, don't get scared because it's Scientology. Just look at the course. Because I tell you, these are prerequisite to the ambassadorship of the queendom, of that parliament, that sits in the United Nations. That's one of the prerequisites. I got to go there. And then you have the module 1, 2, and 3, which goes in not Scientology. This is coming from her. And this is deep, far, far reaching, real deep, deep, deep stuff. And then Thursday, I don't know what I'm going to do on Thursday. Let me see. Let me see what I can do on Thursday. You reach out to me. Thursday could be Taino. Thursday could be a Taino spirituality. Taino spirituality. I could bring in Roberto Mucaro, Cacique Mucaro. It could be Taino. And Friday, we can do Freestyle Friday. Freestyle Friday, go on in. You know what I'm saying? And then Saturday, I probably take a break. But I definitely want to do Sunday, a religious day. Because everybody go to church. So we can talk about different religions and talk, and we can go there. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, peace and blessings to you, and I'm out. Okay? Wadu. Gracias.